Alright YouTube, so Core has been announced as the global first LD, and if you want to check out my react, I was with Necklord and Mino on stream, and we were watching the entire live stream, obviously. So if you want to check out that, I put a timestamp in there to our reaction, so I'm not going to rewatch the video again. Was very confused and overwhelmed at the time, but it's very cool that we're getting Core. TLDR, I think he looks very strong. Teetering on overpowered, and I'm going to gem pity him if you're wondering my impressions. So that's the TLDR. Well, this is not one of my more in-depth analysis. I wanted to get this out as a first take and see what I'm thinking at first. Room for hot takes is out there. Well, they're not giving us much time to analyze, so I'm gonna do what I can. I'm definitely not getting analysis, a proper analysis like I do for the other GL first, out entirely soon. But I encourage everyone, as always, I'm encouraging other people to do content creation, step up to the plate, try and get your takes out there, try and mold how things go, and I think it'd be a good time. But I want to kind of try and, like I usually do, shoot down some initial horrible takes, because I'm already seeing just some really bad stuff. And I want to give my impressions and where I think he might be impactful. And this is the rough draft, and I'll get something more polished out later. So first off, again, and before we do that, like the video, subscribe. In the comments, let me know what you think about Core. Let me know any hot takes you're seeing, because it's gonna get spicy in here. GL first time was always fun because we see the hottest of takes. Oh lord, that's that's what I love. Anyways, so yeah, Core 15, pretty important character. He deserved a little bit more screen time, and he looks kind of weird in this game without a nose. But he's got the katana thing going, so I'm already a fan. His ult, I'll go over that when they get there. But I guess I wasn't quite listening to the stream, but it looked like some sort of concept thing. Let's hit up the next slide though. The immortal Core, and shout out to Trace. Trace is real happy. He knows who he is. He's wanted this character in the game for a while, so shout out to him. So Core's got the weird, I jokingly call it, it's got like Jaggerin way down the line. He's got a reverse follow-up, but it's just pre-turn damage, and it's only linked to one character. So he's only following up after one character, and they go and he gets a rainbow attack. He gets like a one-time rainbow attack, depending on his stacks, which is also pretty cool. And this opens the doorway to Galaxy Brain, Setzer, and Jaggerin comparisons, which are so mind-numbingly dumb. God, I saw a Reddit post that's like, oh, Setzer's coming and he gives Rainbow to the whole party. Like, Rainbow just means you ignore you ignore resistances, bro. Like, it's I just don't even know. The Setzer does so many different things. I don't get why you compare those two. And Jaggerin's a selfish damage dealer, and Core is completely in a completely different realm. But you know, one thing in common, gotta say they're the same character basically. I hit next tab instead. Okay, let's try that. An AAD blue crystal special weapon type. So you're not throwing any Sephiroth weapons on him, sadly. But yeah, it's pretty cool how they link his thing to one character, but that also means that your turn spamming and your follow-up things are a little bit more limited. It's a different realm of playing. So it's a follow-up, but not all follow-ups are created equally. And I've seen the Galaxy Brain, Yang, and Cloud of Dark. I didn't think Cloud of Darkness BT comparisons come out the woodworks, but I've seen it a couple times now to where I'm like, oh god, is this happening too? Really? Anyways, I'm not gonna go over his skills. So his skills honestly don't seem like they do all that much damage on his turns, but that actually doesn't really matter because the meat of his damage is going to be in his follow-up. But this stuff is definitely going to get upgraded down the line when he gets Crystal level 90 and EX Awakening 2, and he's probably going to get a reworked kit in JP. And so, but that's not the point. I know at his base he's got attack 40 and embrave 40, I think it is, for the party. But let's the important thing here, can you see my mouse? You can see my mouse. He's got the attack and brave up on the single ally buff, which is interesting. So he's got a lot of self stats, and his attacks look fine. And he batteries on his, does he battery on all his attacks? No, he batteries on his skill 1 and skill 2. And both of these moves can grant the ally the link buff. So whatever button you press, you're refreshing the link on whoever, so that link's going to be up pretty much all the time. So my first impression is you want the link on the person who's going to be taking the most turns. So he's going to be good with turn stealers, but you have to pace yourself because it's 6 turns, and it doesn't say it's not extendable, so it probably is extendable, and we don't know whether it goes down in BT phase. That's gonna be a very important for whether you want to swap Core out potentially or not. Right? I don't even know about that. That's kind of way out there, but we don't know if it's extendable, and we don't know if it's going to go down the burst phase. So that's things right up in the air. But the fact that he grants them that buff, like, it grants him so much flexibility. Like one, it's a damage buff, so you attack up and brave up. That's already good, and you're taking less damage. So characters that are getting targeted a lot and hit a lot. So that makes me think initially, well, Warrior Light, any taunt based tank. So Warrior of Light, and we also don't quite know how it's gonna work with. Actually, they showed that in the Gladio trailer. So let me pause and go find that out real quick. Never mind, we don't quite know. It wasn't obvious about how he interacts with cover, but that's something we'll need to find out as well. But I'm sure we'll find that out very quickly. So that'll be saved for the post-release analysis, which will help many people, but it's fun to talk about in general. And the preventing break thing is pretty good, so core is just never going to get broken. That's from his EX buff. And again, he's got nice stats. And defense plus 30, so yeah, the person who's getting targeted. So one thing that was pointed out by Mino, and I think some others, is that he's going to work really well with Elnars, because Elnars is going to take those turns. And we're going to go over the turn taking in a bit. But yeah, Elnars, it looks like a lot of characters are going to work very well with him, and turn stealers. So optimizing him is very important. And that's going to tag into the Yang discussion. And I want to preempt that right now. Comparing him to Yang doesn't really work. Yes, they have follow-ups based on enemy turns. However, Yang is just plug and play. Yang throws his own buff up, and then he doesn't need to go like ever again. You can turn steal into infinity. With Core, you got 6 turns on that, and Core needs to act again to put that thing back up. Additionally, there's a bunch of strategies with Yang where you give him like an enchant call, and you like make him just never get a turn, like barely ever, and stuff like that. But Core will need to take a turn. So if you're going out about, oh, I have Yang, so therefore I don't need Core, that is bad thinking. That is really bad thinking, because they go about their follow-ups and their turn stealing, pairing with turn stealers, way different. Additionally, run them together. Let's keep going though, because none of these numbers are really important. His skills do damage and they battery the party. The EX is just 100% AoE, just one tap. So I mean, all right, whatever. The big note here's where they really go in depth. This is the fascinating thing. So you want to it looks like you want to optimize Core's follow-ups, and again, like I said, you want the person who's getting targeted a lot or the one. So the first part, when the ally takes it, and then Core is going to act before they go. That's why I was really confused initially when Core acted before Noctis did the warp strike. But so if they have their Core's buff on, then right before they'll go, Core will attack, and he does his thing, and then they go right afterwards. So if you're turn stealing, you got 6 turns of Core follow up to abuse. This will go down on the ally, and it'll also always go before Core's turn. So when I said Core's damage, his skills didn't look like too impressive, that wasn't taking into account the fact that he's going to do the pre-follow-up beforehand. So he's going to be battery beforehand, which I'm going to really leap and reach hard here and say it's kind of like an Embrave regen, but not really. Actually, no, throw that out, never mind. But also, Core definitely benefits when the enemies go as well. But the downside is that unlike Yang, and again, unlike Cloud of Darkness, this is dependent. Well, Core is still going when the enemy goes, but it's only if they're targeting Core or if they're targeting the person with Core's buff. So you can actually plan around this pretty well to where it might not even be a factor. And this is what I'm not quite sure of. So we'll have to see this in practice. But if you see someone is getting targeted, you just throw Core's buff on them. And did they mention here that the all attacks, he goes a lot? Yeah, if both buffs active and enemies targeting all, it triggers twice. I want to see that in practice. It looked really good. I don't think they showed it in the video. So you're gonna need a little bit more finesse around nailing Cores. You're gonna need to pay attention to who's being targeted, turn order, etc. But you can get very effective attacks out of this. But again, it does have a duration. And yeah, nothing really else to say about there. The all attack thing is pretty cool. So I can imagine a scenario where Eldnars is being targeted by all, and then Core is just doing insane damage, insane damage. And the fact that it's unlimited when it's in the off turn, and this is why the Setzer comparisons are stupid, because you can just throw, well, for one, I could see plenty of abuse with Setzer, where you just throw Setzer's rainbow, and I don't think a lot of people understand this. Setzer's LD call doesn't drop his rainbow thing on him either, but you could drop Setzer's, this is popular with a lot of off-turn damage units. You throw Setzer's buff on Core, and then you, then Core's gonna do his pre-turn, I gotta stop calling it a follow-up, because it's not that. It's a pre-turn damage. It's you know, I'm just calling it a reverse follow for now. He does his reverse follow. He does his reverse follow-up, and he'll have the rainbow on, and he'll be capping the brave damage every time, and that's going to be ridiculously powerful with the right setup. So I could see some crazy scenario where it's like Tidus BT, Setzer main party, Core main party, and Core has the rainbow buff on top of Setzer. Setzer has the rainbow buff on top of Core, and Tidus is taking all those turns, and then Tidus puts his foot on the gas for a little after everything's been rebroken, and then the Cloud of Darkness friend is swapped for the Setzer, and then it's just, it just sounds like a beautiful time for damage. Like, Core looks amazing. Like, amazing. Anyone downplaying him right now is clowning hard, because he looks fantastic. Like, at first I was like, all right, he looks solid, but I look at it a little bit more. I'm like, he looks really, really good, especially with some of the crazy stuff we're coming up next. And again, something even dumber that people are going like, saying he's gonna die and leave Fendi a plus. That, especially with that one tab rainbow, which I'm gonna go to next. Oh, I hit the new tab button again. Gotta stop doing that. Control tab. There we go. So the LD, this is the really crazy one. So it's an instant turn, right? And this is where his party bus came from that I alluded to earlier. So if you have his what's it called? You have his LD up, LD buff active, which should always be active, and then you have the other party member targeted. That's an 80% attack up to said party member. So that's pretty good stats already. Overflow, whatever. Brave damage up, HP damage up. That's all right. That's a 10% is decent. It's not anything to write home about, but it's always welcome, obviously. And if you're maximizing Core's follow-ups, which is going to be key, reverse follow-ups, which is going to be key to maximizing his damage, then he's gonna get those he gets a rainbow special HP attack that he gets to pop and then gets right back to setting somebody up every turn. Oh, that's gonna be delicious. So really it looks, what is it? What makes it go after he does an additional attack? So let's think about it like this. So you get a turn steal. Let's say Tidus, for example. Tidus takes 6 of Core's turns. No, let's start off at 0. Core's on his turn. He dumps it. He does the rainbow attack, the super attack. This is a nuke, and then he goes back to 0, and then he targets Tidus. Tidus takes 6 turns. Core follows up after everyone. Then the boss, let's say it's 2 of them. The boss takes 2 turns, and Core gets 2 follow-ups off of that. And then Core can be almost at 9 or 10 pretty quickly. This is a rough estimation, but if you're pairing him with some insane turn stealers, like this rainbow thing should actually be up relatively quickly, which is amazing. And what is it? It's a 2 AoE brave plus split HP, so 3x. That's a decent attack, and his on-turn damage isn't amazing, but having that one that ignores reductions for that pop could be very, very useful, especially because I think that it'll be up a little bit more often than it seems. Initially, my initial reaction was, oh, it's not going to be up often because he's got to build stacks, but I didn't quite read, because he's additional attacking all the time. And what's even better is that if you need one in a quick use, you could just pop your LD and then get one of those attacks off. Say you need a quick shave and you need burst damage. Oh, and you could, that turn manipulation. Oh, that sounds so good. So that's going to be invaluable as well. So he's not, while he could potentially do primary damage, I think in the right setup, I think it's easier to lean on him as, like we always like to say, the sort of the third slot utility. I actually want to take a quick bit I wonder how long this actually go to address some straight up hot takes. I want to just iron out a section straight for this. The Setzer comparison, because they do rainbow numbers, they have so little in common, except the only thing they do have in common is the rainbow numbers. And that's such a weird thing to compare people on. If you want to skip Core, go ahead. Nobody's holding a gun to your head, but think about it for the right reason. Because they do one thing, like, this character buffs attack and this character buffs attack. So, I have one character that buffs attack, so I can skip the other one. Like, there's more to the kit than that. So the Setzer comparison is probably the worst because they go about the rainbows in completely opposite ways. Core's is a burst damage period for him. It's potentially useful, and Setzer gives it to the party, and it's up to the party to take advantage of it. So dead that. Jegrin similarly. That's weird, because Jegrin's is just purely selfish, and he does it all the time, so it's consistent damage throughout the battle. Cloud of Darkness, because this man has a follow-up. First off, Cloud of Darkness is tied to Burst, and it's can get messed up by Cloud. You can't see what I'm face palming right now. There's breaks to consider. Again, BT it's not up the whole battle. Core's follow-ups are on the whole battle. Cloud of Darkness is just when a party member goes. Core's is dependent on one person and some of the other bosses acting, etc. So there's that. I know Core doesn't delay. I mean, come on. Again, one thing in common doesn't mean you're like, oh, I have this, so therefore I can skip this. It's never that simple. And Yang requires pretty much no thinking. You put his LD buff up, and the entire party is unbreakable. He's following up after everything. He's slow. He does not need to get turns. Core, you need to plan your turns out, know exactly what you're doing, or else your damage will suffer. And then Yang isn't providing, what's it called? Defense up and Brave and HP reduction for the party, and Core's single target buff is going to be more attack than Yang's. So again, use differences, weigh them, use them separately. Don't go, I have Yang, so I'll skip Core, or Core is a better Yang, because it just doesn't work that way. Nuance is just always dead. And what's this is really painful to do, because I quite literally cannot understand this thinking, but and the Core's auras aren't enough take, because he only gets 80% on one ally, it's 40% enough to another. Shout out to Sine Wave, support monogamy. Apparently you are not allowed to run two characters who buff the party in one party. It's only one source of auras. I mean, that's just the weirdest take. I mean, just bring somebody else. Paladin Cecil, Ashe, Queen upcoming. That's the weirdest take of it all. But look at Core for what he is entirely, and please don't just minimize him to one thing, because you're missing out on the entire thing. You're missing out on the nuances of team building, and then you'll die to Lufenia and wonder why the game is cheating. All right. Yeah, he gets the costume. Apparently it was in game. Mino's pinging me with that right now. I don't care. He's an event on his own. That's hype. Not really interested in the costume. He looks kind of ugly. Actually, his model is kind of gross in general. But yeah, I'm a big fan. Enhancement panel. So maybe we'll get a 35 for free as well. We're gonna a new Lufenia too. Oh, and we get to see the hot takes on. Is this the first? Is this our global first event Lufenia? I think it is. That's pretty dope as well. So yeah. Overall, I think the stream was fantastic. I think they showed a lot of good stuff. They didn't focus too long on the co-op, and I think Core looks fantastic. I'm going to be gemming him, absolutely. Gem straight to pity. RIP to all the people who token Lael and couldn't wait until the banner was gone to see what the stream had. Y'all, some L's in the chat for them. Yeah, but that's my initial take on Core. I think he looks amazing to broken tier, and a lot of the no boss turn people are gonna go nuts with him. There aren't really any fights that he's going to help with. Just looking forward, we got Cloud of Darkness cycles entirely delay. So actually, he might be pretty good on Queen's event, especially because Queen turn steals. That might be good. Cloud of Darkness turn steals, depending on when he goes down in burst, he could be very useful there. He's not helping with the delays though. So Gladio's event, he probably won't be as he'll still be good. Like, there's nothing that's really gonna, explicitly shut him out. And then Tidus is gonna come on. He's gonna help DP race those tight turn Tidus attacks. And then there's a wave in Boss Rush 5. The last wave, the orb is to like go above 99 damage. So he's gonna help with that with his rainbows on demand. About his blue armor, looks like he's got the even 2-2 attacker split. I'm probably gonna blue him as well. Actually, no, I'm not gonna blue him. Screw that. I don't need to. But probably gonna get his base armor. Then Lufenia Plus, he'll be fine, because he'll be paired with turn stealers like Zidane. Zidane's gonna love him, for example. Zidane's gonna eat a bunch of turns, delete a bunch of turns, and then Core's gonna come back. And although I think Core would benefit more if the bosses are taking turns, but that's no big deal. So yeah, he's gonna be good, guys. Let the Reddit hot takes commence. He's gonna persist for a while, I'm certain. One, because he's global first, people are gonna run him into the ground and show how viable he is. And two, because I think he has a really good kit. And then we know he's gonna get even better with Crystal level 90, and probably an LD board and an entire rework down the line when JP gets him in general. There's gonna be salt on every side from that, but who cares? This looks like an amazing character, and I'm going all in. And if you got a lot of resources, don't be a hoarder. I think you should too. All right, so that's my initial take. I'll get something more refined out later. Maybe I'm lying about that, and maybe I'll talk about it on the Ranting Hour. Check out the Ranting Hour stream. I do that every Wednesday. But yeah, that's about it. Like, subscribe. Again, comment, tell me what you guys think about Core, and I'll catch you guys later. All right, peace.